A short time ago, we learned a tree came down outside of a home in St. Petersburg from the high winds and heavy rain that we all saw this afternoon. Fox 13's Evan Moon joins us live now in St. Pete. And Evan, this is some of the first damage that we're seeing now from today's storm. So what can you show us that's out there right now?
Well, we're out in Gulfport, and we've been driving around this area, and by far, this is some of the craziest damage we've seen so far. I'm going to step aside so you can just see. It's getting a little dark out, but there is a tree that cracked in half and completely collapsed on top of the car beneath it. I'm told this neighbor isn't here right now, but that he's aware that his car has just been, I mean, it's completely smashed through, and all along this street, we've seen just insane damage. I am standing here with a neighbor. Her name is Cindy, and she says it was just crazy to be in the neighborhood. She heard it. She actually called us and warned us about this street. So can you tell me a little bit about your experience, what you saw and heard?
I heard first a hail hitting the windows. I got up and looked out the window, and all of a sudden it became real dark, and there was this wind pickup. Very, very forceful wind, and I could see that the trees were pushing that way, and to me, I thought we're getting hit with a tornado. I then pulled back to get possibly in the safe area, and then I came out afterwards and realized that it was possibly a tornado.
And you say you are from Texas, you dealt with tornadoes. That's what you think it is?
Yeah, I lived 20 years in Texas and witnessed them live in other areas where I reside, and this was definitely not a large one, but it was definitely come down, hit multiple trees along this whole street, and this is where the most damage when it came down and really hit us with the most velocity.
An unnamed storm, you think this is worse than some of the hurricanes you saw come through here last year?
This was in a micro,
yeah.
In a more isolated, yes. This was
quick and powerful.
Very under 20 seconds, and it was gone.
Wow. Well, thank you, Cindy. I also want to show you some video we got from just down the street and in neighboring areas here. Now, we saw trees on cars, obviously, as you saw here. We saw trees on houses. In 2 cases, they smashed through the house, downed power lines. We spoke with firefighters who were out there who tell us to stay away from the area as there was downed lines. One woman's shed blew straight across her backyard. She spoke with us that she, no matter how many times she lives through this, it's extremely scary. And a neighbor here just on this street tells us that, she felt it was worse than a lot of the hurricanes she saw last year. It was very scary. She was sitting in her living room with her son when this thing came blowing through and crashed a tree on top of her car as well. So there's just been a ton of damage we've seen on this street. We're continuing to circle around the Gulfport area, but I will tell you that these neighbors tell me this is an area that sees flooding. They're worried they could still see flooding later tonight. So we'll be watching for that as we stay in this area.
Yeah, and I know you'll keep us updated, Evan. Thank you.